Yeah.
Showtime. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by for action.
This is the Bob and Jeff Show, starring Bob Lutz.
Oh, gasp. I'm so excited.
You know what? I wish you had nothing to say on a lot of things. It's valuable that you're here to help me with the show. But that's exactly what you're doing. You're helping me with the show.
And Jason Duda.
The street smart fish out of water in a world he never made.
Sexsmith's my hometown. It's about 12 miles north of Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie is the big center, and there's nothing north of there.
I just read that the mayor of Winnipeg's nephew went ice fishing and caught himself a 16-pound walleye. Reporting live from the worst place in the world.
97.5 and 1240 KFH.
I totally don't know what that means, but I want it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's a Friday edition, the Bob and Jeff Show on KFH Radio. Happy to be joined today by Jason Duda, the Canadian, who's in for Jeff, who's attending his wife's master's degree graduation ceremony up at Fort Hays State today.
I've heard of those.
Congratulations to Shannon.
Yes, congratulations.
Who took care of this degree in very quick fashion, it feels like.
Well, when did she start it?
A couple years ago.
Only a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Wow. I thought master's degrees were supposed to take like longer than high school.
Well, she did a lot of work.
I barely got through high school.
I don't know how you got through high school. I'd have to.
I think they just graduated me out of Sexsmith just to kind of make sure I didn't come back again. They could do that back in the day.
I don't know what the transcript looks like, but I can't imagine it's glowing.
Well, in all honesty, I got a letter in the mail that summer saying that I thought I was going to have to take a English class the next year after I was supposed to graduate because of back and forth with hockey stuff. And they sent me a letter in the mail saying, now we've adjusted your grade to a B and your diploma, and congratulations. And
they didn't want to mess with it.
Don't come back.
Exactly.
That's true. That's true.
Don't come back was the key part of that.
Did they mean it because it was capitalized at the bottom of the
Yes.
paper?
Don't come back with exclamation points.
See, that's why I probably should have needed that extra English class.
All right, we got a good show for you today. Jaylon Thompson from the Kansas City Star, his first time on the show. He covers the Royals, and they have been active. They have been making things happen. A couple more moves today. We'll talk to Jaylon Thompson about what the Royals are trying to do. It looks to me like they're trying to win the American League Central. That's what it looks to me like they're trying to do.
What have they done?
Oh, they've added Michael Wacha today. They added Hunter Renfroe. Previously, they had added Seth Lugo, Will Smith. They've been very active so far in the free agent market. So we'll talk with Jaylon Thompson about that coming up at 2:25. At 2:45, Mike Helmer, the coach of the unbeaten Butler Grizzlies women's basketball team, will join us. He's been doing that over at Butler County for a long time now, and we look forward to catching up with Coach Helmer. At 3:25, Joanna Chadwick, Vipe Magazine, will break down some of the better high school games of the evening. We've got games tonight. We've got games next Tuesday, and then we've got the Christmas hiatus for high school basketball.
See you later.
And later, we're hoping in the final segment today to do a 5 questions with former Wichita State baseball player Brett Baskew from the great city of Derby, who is now a college football official. He is working to get permission from his supervisor to make this happen.
Interesting.
Yeah. I guess they don't just let college football refs jump on any show they want to.
That's odd.
Start talking.
Why not?
I don't know.
What's the difference from them doing an interview than a player?
Well, you got to go. You got to go through the proper channels to get a player, for sure. You can't. I can't just.
So if you knew a player, you can't call them and say, "Hey."
No.
Yeah, you can.
No, no. I wouldn't. I would lose my privileges if I did it
with the team.
Yes, I try to follow the rules here.
I see.
We ought to get you to book the show for a week and see what you'd come up with. It's not easy.
Oh.
Every morning I wake up, and very soon after I wake up, the thought comes into my brain, who are we going to have on the show today?
I'd get Cap and Phillips and a couple of my buddies from back home, and
no one would listen.
And it would be unbelievable.
Dave Phillips is Mr. Irrelevancy in our city now.
Wow.
He hadn't been on the air in forever. He's out there making things happen for.
I don't even know if he's in town. I think he might be in Florida or somewhere down south. Yeah.
He's moved?
I think he's going somewhere for the winters now or something. I'm not sure.
What?
It's been a while.
Well, you need to catch up with him.
Well, last time I tried to get a hold of him because you guys were doing something and I was going to see if he could do the show. He said, well, I won't be in town. I'm kind of going back. I think it was Florida, I think he said. I can't remember.
Oh, good for him.
But happy days.
He found a gig that gets him to warm climate. Today, not warm, rainy, kind of nasty out there.
It is.
Not fun at all.
It was worse this morning.
Yeah, it was not good this morning. Of course, I got to sleep in till about 7 this morning.
Yeah, well,
You don't get that privilege.
No, I was up
luxury.
Up at 2:30. So at 3, it was coming down pretty good.
But you were indoors.
Yeah, but I had to drive there, so I knew it was coming down pretty good.
They have a heated place for you?
They have a heater in that building, yes.
A heater?
Yes, I think one of the heaters works.
Wow.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound pleasant.
It's not bad. Once everything gets going, you're okay, unless you're having to load trucks that are outside the building. That would suck. That would suck. I had to do that my first year.
It is the Christmas season, and I'm curious about your employment with UPS because whenever I shop now, and this is an admission that I'm not necessarily proud of, but I just search for what I need. Amazon takes me to it.
Yep.
And it's here in a day or two.
Yep. Thanks.
Sorry.
No wonder my shoulders hurt.
I'm sorry. I don't necessarily think that's good for commerce, but they've made it so easy now.
Well, it is.
And for older people like me that don't want to go shop and do all that stuff. But like when I needed wiring for the microphones down here.
Right.
Just went to Amazon, search, boom, order it. It's here in a day and a half.
No, it's a good deal. It's way easier. That's why nobody goes to stores as much anymore.
Well, I feel terrible saying this. I used to love going shopping at the Town East or Town West back in the day
and it would be packed.
When Town West was bustling. It's not now, but Town East still is. I used to love that experience. You'd spend an afternoon going from store to store, the ones that interested you.
Yeah.
And there were many that interested me. But for whatever reason, I haven't done that in years.
No. Well before COVID for me. I don't like going. I don't like shopping.
No, I can imagine you don't.
I like the grocery store. That's it.
I even do that online now.
I know. A lot of people do. But I like going to the grocery store. One, if I'm buying fruits or vegetables, I want to pick mine out.
I understand that.
That one. If you don't need any of that stuff, then, yeah, why not get it delivered?
But, my experience with fruits and vegetables has been very good.
Right.
Every time they bring them, they're good. They're fresh. I did find a grocery store. I didn't find it. I went to one. And I'm not going to tell you where it is because I don't want people knowing.
Right, because you got to keep this to yourself.
Unless they give me some kind of a fee.
Oh.
Maybe they pay me to be their spokesperson.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll talk to them about that.
Have a chat. I mean, you have a platform here.
Because I'm a big fan of this place. And when I was there the other night, I enjoyed going up and down the aisles. It was clean, very well organized. I'm a big fan, but I can't tell you where it is.
That's ridiculous, though. You just go through this spiel, and then you're not going to tell us
My
where
fear
or
is that
what
everybody will discover it, and I'll have to wait in longer lines.
So you're the only one ever in the store?
No, but, I don't want longer lines. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely zero, except for the fact that you just want it for yourself. Other than you taking care of yourself and only yourself and not worrying about anyone else that may be in your position. No,
that's a very selfish way to put it.
It makes perfect sense, though, other than that. I guess would be the way I'd have to say it. And I'd say I was correct.
Well, you do what you can.
That's true.
Do you want me to tell you where it is?
Yeah.
Everybody knows it's been around. It's the Wichita Institution, and it's Leakers out on North Broadway. And they have a wonderful deli in an era where you can't hardly find a salad bar. They've got one.
No.
And it looked really good. And I've been thinking about Leakers almost nonstop since Tuesday.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard of Leakers, but I honestly haven't been there. I can't wait because I got to find out when you're going because I'm definitely going to go and make that line longer just for fun.
Well, it's a long way for you to drive.
It'll be worth it if I can make you wait a little bit.
I started following them on Facebook. They put their daily deli menu up there every day. They show pictures of it. It's right up your alley.
I bet it is.
It's like I wouldn't be surprised.
It's food-based.
If you moved out there closer to it.
It's food-based. Everything's right up my alley when it comes to that.
Oh, just so good. And I can't stop thinking about it.
Are you going to just go over there today to visit?
Not going to go there. I'm telling myself once a week at the most, and preferably once every 2 weeks. But they got daily specials. I'm giving them the world right now.
You are. You're going to have to go and tell them next time you're in what's happening.
Maybe our intercom, our Odyssey sales staff can work on getting them on the show.
Well, there you go. How would
Not a bad idea, is it?
No, not bad at all. Why wouldn't they?
Why exactly? Why wouldn't they?
I mean, your name in the show, always highly touted. I mean, how could anybody stay away?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
It seems to me like we should be calling them right now, saying, we want you to advertise on the Bob and Jeff show. Bob, Jeff, and Duda will talk about you. They love food, and your sales will skyrocket.
Well, they probably would. I mean, let's be honest. The dozen people that are listening right now are thinking,
now, wait a minute. We got more than a dozen people.
Or whatever.
Max tells me all the time we have legions of listeners.
That's awesome. So part of the legion's going to end up at Leakers now.
That's my concern. But
you're only that's terrible. You're concerned strictly for your own purposes.
Well, they've been open for 100 years or thereabouts.
Well, I mean, maybe you forgot about it. I'd heard of them, and I forgot about it, but I'm obviously not near there either. That's a drive for me when I have a grocery store literally 38 seconds away.
I've got 3 in my near vicinity.
Right. So
Dillon's kind of took on the market, so to speak.
I would say.
And they do a fine job, too.
They're fine.
But they closed down their salad bar after
they don't
COVID.
have. Well, yeah, that's gone. I used to stop at the one at Dillon's had a good salad bar.
Very good.
I used to stop and grab stuff there if I was going to pick up something for dinner. It was easy. It was great. But you're right. As soon as COVID happened, it's gone.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess there's been a decision by Kroger not to bring it back. I'd like to hear the reasoning behind that. Wouldn't you?
Yeah. Probably work. You got to have more people because you got to have somebody always taking care of it, I guess.
And COVID's still a thing, but it's not
true.
It's not any. I mean, I can't imagine it would shut down a salad bar at this point. I don't know.
Well,
maybe.
It seems to already done that.
But I had that Dillon salad bar a couple times a week.
Well, it was easy. You go in, it was a good salad bar. If you go in and that's what I'm saying. I go in, pick something up for dinner to cook or make, and instead of I just get a salad out of there for the family or myself or whatever else was there that I wanted to grab.
Have we, Max? Do we have Leakers as a advertiser yet? Has that signed contract?
It should be done by now.
You would think. I can't stop talking about them.
I know. This is very odd.
It is weird, isn't it?
You're talking about a grocery store for so long.
Yeah, I need.
But
it.
hey,
I need it. Well, the
that's
dam
okay.
burst.
It did. Once it goes, it goes.
I didn't talk about it Wednesday or Thursday. I mentioned that I'd found a place, but I didn't let the cat out of the bag. And today I've let the cat out of the bag.
Well, we'll see if Leaker stock goes up here in the next couple of weeks or not.
You know, we made our picks yesterday.
We did.
And we had a lot of differences. People are trying to scramble to stay in the lead, get closer to the lead, get out of last place in your case.
And I'm making it up the last 3 weeks, so it'll take a little time.
Your big stretches in my mind. We're picking Minnesota on the road at Cincinnati to cover 3.5. I didn't agree with that. I don't agree at all with your pick of Dallas to cover the 2.5 at Buffalo. I don't know that Dallas. I know they're good, but I think Buffalo is gonna be a team to watch the rest of the year.
No, I disagree.
I don't certainly don't agree with your pick of New England. I just don't get it. You and Max does it because he can't stand Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
True.
I don't know why you made that pick.
Well, because I don't trust Kansas City right now. I haven't all year. I haven't. They haven't scored 20 points in like 4 of their last 5 games.
Yeah, but don't
so,
they
I mean,
how many is New England going to score?
So if New England can squeak out 10,
they're not getting 10.
How are they not getting 10?
They don't even have an offense.
They could score a defensive touchdown. They put up 21 in the first half last week. I just don't. Kansas City on the road.
You want to go off
going grass to turf, like I said. It's
you want to go.
It's trouble.
You want to bet a little something on the side on that one?
Absolutely.
All right. How much?
Well, we might as well do some cookies. We don't do cash because that never comes through. We don't do that.
No. By the way, did you happen to remember the mints that my wife ordered from your wife?
From Avery?
Yeah.
To remember them for what?
I thought my wife said something about those being brought over today. I don't know. I'm not in that mix.
I'm not either.
So
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I'll have to talk to Avery about it.
I'm sure it'll be fine if that.
They need them by like the weekend.
I don't know what they.
I don't know.
I honestly don't know.
Hey, there's no point in us getting involved in something like that.
I don't care.
I don't know. That's not my. If I was told to bring them, I would have brought them.
Well, that's whatever happens when it comes to that.
That's right.
I was dismayed, shocked, bewildered, flummoxed last night by the NFL. The NFL is borderline unwatchable to me. That game, you didn't watch that game last night.
I watched the first half.
How could you possibly?
We had Dia was watching something on TV, and so I just had it on my iPad. And I was watching it and watching TV, and I'd look down, and I'm like, what is going on? Fumble, touchdown, touchdown, fumble, touchdown, touchdown. And it's 35-0
from a team that did not score last week in the Raiders.
And they weren't done in the first half.
And scored 42 in the first half. Won 63-20, whatever nonsense it was.
63-21. Over-under for the game was 34.
Brandon Staley fired today, about a year too late. After one of the most ridiculous performances in NFL history. The Chargers should be fined and suspended, the whole team.
Do you think Sean Payton right now was thinking to himself, I should have waited?
No, I'd much rather be in Denver than to coach the Chargers. First of all, they don't even really have a home.
True.
They don't have a fan base.
Well, that's true.
They play in a great stadium, but it's not really theirs.
No, you'd call it
the whole L.A. thing is crazy. I mean, 2 teams, 1 stadium. Come on. That's
the Giants and the Jets.
Yeah, that's ridiculous too.
I agree. They should have their own. But
at least the Giants and the Jets have fan bases.
True. I will give you that.
The Rams and the Chargers do not.
They not in L.A.
And they moved the Rams from a place where they did have a fan base in St. Louis, where the team was terrible. Then they got good for a minute. Now they're just okay. They're nothing. And the Chargers are terrible. And it's all just it's a travesty.
Well, I don't know if it's a travesty.
The Chargers should be in San Diego.
Well,
the Rams
that would
should
be nice.
In St. Louis. And that's how it should be.
I don't even have a team in L.A.
Right. We survived a long time without a team in L.A. And we did just fine.
Everything was good.
You got the Dodgers. You got the Lakers. That's really all L.A. cares about. They don't care about the Clippers.
No.
They don't care about the Angels.
No.
They don't care about – do they care about the Kings?
Who?
Exactly.
The
Dodgers and the Lakers. That's it.
No, I can't argue with you. I can't. I'd like to.
All right.
But we're not going to.
Time for a break. We're going to come back and talk about the Royals, where they do have a fan base, and the fan base is getting a little tired of all the losing. So the Royals are trying to do something about it. Jaylon Thompson, beat writer for the Kansas City Star, will join us next.
This is the Bob and Jeff Show, KFA.
All right, we are joined on the hotline by Jaylon Thompson from the Kansas City Star. He has covered the Chiefs now for a season. Hey, Jaylon, welcome to our show.
Hey, how you doing, Bob and Jason? How you doing?
We're doing well. We're happy to have you on, a first-timer. We appreciate it. So the Royals have certainly caught our attention. I'm sure they've caught the attention of their fan base. They are making moves. They're trying to get better. Today they added Hunter Renfroe to help in their outfield and their power, and Michael Wacha to go into their starting rotation along with Seth Lugo and others. The Royals are making waves. Did you expect all of this activity?
I'll be honest with you. I did not expect for them to make this flurry of moves, and being last year was my first full season on the beat, I've heard stories about how the Royals generally don't spend money like in free agency and through trades and whatnot. But this year they have come out swinging, and it's taken me by surprise. I realized that there were a couple players that when free agency was just starting, I had like Seth Lugo as a realistic possibility, Michael Wacha, and they went out and they signed these guys. So I think it's really cool to see that they're trying to show fans they want to compete, and they're tired of being in last place and at the bottom of the standings.
Are they doing this, do you think, a little bit with the fact they talk about the new stadium there? Where's it going to go? Do you think that they're wanting to just say, you know what, we're going to try to win too, since we're going to have to build this thing? Is there a little political stuff happening with this, or are the Royals actually going to start spending a little bit in order to try to be better than the basement dwellers that they've been for years?
In my opinion, and from what I've heard from so many people around the team, this is for real. They are serious about competing. JJ Picollo, the Royals general manager, he was saying in a press conference yesterday that the time to compete is now. They want to make significant moves because they're tired of giving out opportunity the last 2 years. They want to take that next step forward. And I believe that the stadium, it's possible it could play a role into that, knowing that they want to build a new stadium and they have to be competitive by the time that new stadium, if it comes, is available and to move into. But after a while, you just lost 56 games. I mean, you lost 106 games last year. You only won 56. It was the tie for the franchise worst record they have to go upward, and I think that's what they're trying to do.
Good stuff from Jaylon Thompson, beat writer for the Royals from the Kansas City Star. So that rotation and the pitching staff was so bad last year. They made a midseason deal trading Aroldis Chapman to Texas. They got Cole Reagans back, and he was marvelous for the Royals in the final couple of months of 2023. They've added Seth Lugo. They've added Michael Wacha. They hope for a bounce back from Brady Singer. Jordan Lyles is still in the mix. While we applaud what the Royals are doing now, it certainly looks like they've thrown in the towel to some degree on all that young pitching that they drafted in previous years.
I wouldn't say that by chance, because I believe getting in these veterans that they have, it's valuable experience that they can help teach these younger players as they come along. And I kind of look at it like this. If I'm a young pitcher and I'm thrown right into the fire and I'm still trying to figure out the major league landscape, it's kind of difficult to perform and also go through my ups and my downs. Well, the Royals have basically said, these young guys, you can learn and grow at your own pace now. And you can get these opportunities when they come to you, and you take full advantage of them. We have the veterans now, essentially what the Royals are saying, to compete with the Seth Lugos, the Michael Wachas now. The Cole Reagan showed he can do it last year, Jordan Lyles. Now these younger guys, and we're talking about Daniel Lynch IV, Chris Bubis, they're coming off of injuries. They can take their time in getting back and rounding to form and really grow and develop at a more sustained level now. And to a certain extent, Brady Singer as well, because he doesn't have to be counted on to be the number one or number two. He might be the 3 or 4 this upcoming season, and that might help him continue to be better and be more consistent. So I think having this veteran experience helps breed the competition and ultimately helps create and develop younger talent that where they need to be at.
Well, you've been there for a year now. Obviously, they've made some moves, as we've discussed. But what else do you think they need to address here before spring training comes around?
I think that they have a lot of pieces now where they might need to compartmentalize it a little bit, because you look at your corner outfield spots. If the reported deal with Hunter Renfroe goes through, you're going to have him. You're going to have MJ Melendez, Edward Olivares, Nelson Velasquez, Drew Waters. There's a lot of outfielders out there. And also on the infield, you can look at Michael Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr., Michael Massey, Vinny Pasquantino. That seems like that might be set, but they might decide they might want to upgrade in one of those spots. So maybe a trade could be incoming. I don't know for sure. I haven't heard anything of that like, but I believe that with the amount of talent they have on the roster, they might need to consolidate it a little bit to, help fill those needs in more succinctly.
Yeah, for sure. Their corner outfield situation is pretty crowded. We're talking with Jaylon Thompson from the Kansas City Star. Lots of discussion about trying to extend Bobby Witt Jr., who has all the makings and look of a superstar, trying to get him locked down. Making moves like this certainly would be an enticement, I would think, to tell Bobby Witt, we're tired of being bad. We're trying to build a championship team. We're in a division, the American League Central, where we feel like we can get to the top fairly quickly if we make the right moves. How much of this do you think is a little bit of a signal to Bobby Witt that we're trying to change this, man?
Yeah, I really think so, for sure. And one thing that I noticed over the last couple of days, when the Royals signed Will Smith and Seth Lugo, you saw Bobby Witt Jr. and Benny Pasquantino put up the brick emoji on their social media, their Twitter, their X account. And I think that's very important because it's showing that the Royals are trying to build brick by brick. If you really look at it, and J.J. Piccolo has said this for a while, he said that we need to build a better team. So Bobby Witt Jr. is a key part of that future and wanting to build that team. And I believe that with them building with this veteran experience that they're putting on the roster now, and I can't forget Kyle Wright, too. He won't pitch this year, but if he gets back to his form in 2022 when he's with the Atlanta Braves, that's another frontline pitcher that could be really worth it for them. But yeah, I think that in Bobby's case, it's just a matter of showing him and to his representatives that they're serious about winning, and they can do that. Then who knows? They might actually have a shot of retaining his services.
Yeah, and listen, you look at this, and you can maybe draw a little bit of a comparison to what happened when the Royals were going to consecutive World Series. They brought in pitchers like James Shields and Johnny Cueto, and while both were obviously very good pitchers, they weren't the guys that were, getting the $150 million contracts. So Waka and Lugo kind of fit into that general area. You got Reagans, who you think is going to be a legit guy. So the Royals, I'm sure they look at this and think, if we can get back into the playoffs and try to win the Central, which I said earlier is a winnable division, who knows what can happen, right?
Exactly. And also, you got to look at it, too. In this past World Series, it was the Texas Rangers and Arizona Diamondbacks. They both lost over 100 games 2 years ago. And in the case of the Diamondbacks, and I actually wrote about this, too, I was saying, the Diamondbacks did it with their homegrown talent. They got some free agents that they built around, but they had guys like Corbin Carroll, Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, and they took that core and they just pushed forward. And the biggest thing that I always say is it doesn't matter how you get there, but if you can get to the playoffs, anything can happen. And we've seen that. We've seen wild card teams make it to the World Series just this past year. So in the Royals' case, if they can string together some wins and potentially have some positive momentum moving forward, who knows where they could end up this year, next year, or even moving forward. And it seems like they're taking the right steps towards that process. But as we all know, that's a long road ahead for sure.
And before anybody tries to lock me up and throw me in the asylum, I'm not predicting the Royals to win the Central this year, but they have made inroads, and so have the Detroit Tigers, a team they'll be competing with. Detroit's done a very nice job of adding to its pitching staff as well. So, hey, at least the Royals and their fan base has something to look forward to. We appreciate you coming on to talk about it in depth with us, Jaylon. Thank you. We'll reach out again soon.
Thank you guys so much, and I really appreciate it as well. And I'll be around next time you need me. I'm right here.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Jaylon Thompson, beat writer from the Kansas City Star. Nice young man.
Sounds like it.
We click. I felt an energy there.
I did. I know you did, because you were like, whoa, I got the next question. It's like, yes, sir.
Well, I like talking baseball. That
I do. That I do know. Let's be honest. Those guys that they signed are going to help, but they're not going to win the division for them.
I'm not going to say they're going to win the division for them, but the Twins have lost and not replaced adequately what they've lost. They lost their arguably their ace in Sonny Gray. The White Sox are in a rebuilding mode. The Guardians, and I hope Jeff understands this, the Guardians are still trying to figure it out. The Tigers, I think, have gotten better. In fact, if I had to pick the AL Central right now, I might pick the Tigers to win it. But the Royals they're not going to lose 106 games this year. They're going to improve markedly because they've got pitching now. Lugo and Waka are good pitchers. They're not number ones, but if Cole Reagans is a number one, and Brady Singer pitches more like he did before last year, they'll be a better team. They're a 75-win team.
Well, they should be able to be a better team. Let's be honest.
Well, that's a 19-game improvement.
Well,
to me, that's a minimum of what the Royals have done a very nice job. They're a much better team than they were last year because they've added pitching.
Well, that's true. I'm not arguing that point whatsoever. The problem is that over the period of the last few years, it's the Royals. Doesn't matter what they seem to do, it just doesn't work.
But if Cole Reagans is a number one, and he pitched like a number one, I don't know if he's going to sustain that. If Brady Singer starts to rediscover what he had before a bad year last year. Remember, he was dynamite in 2022.
Right.
If he can get back to that form, and you have Lugo and Waka as your 3 and 4 starters, and then you plug Jordan Lyles in at number 5 or whomever, that's a good pitching staff, folks.
Well, it's a lot better staff than what they have.
No, it's a good
No
one.
question.
It's a good pitching staff.
Okay. All right. That's fine. You want to see it that way.
I do want to see it that way.
I know
and
you
I'm not
do.
a Royals honk either. I will criticize the Royals.
Oh, we know.
Trust me.
Oh, we are well aware on this show.
Mike Helmer joins us, veteran coach now of the Butler Grizzlies, 16th year with Butler. They are undefeated at 12-0, taking a nice little break here for the holidays, coming off a very narrow win, 2-point win over 14th-ranked Dodge City in their most recent game. Mike, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, Bob.
Yeah, well, we try to take notice of programs that are performing well in our area, and certainly the Butler women meet that criteria. You've had a great start to the season, so now you're off till after the new year. Do you like having this respite?
Well, it's a little longer than I would like, to be honest. I felt like we were kind of rolling a little bit, and things were starting to really gel together, and now we're going to have this big break. But, the positive about it, I guess, is everybody's having it, so we're all on the same page.
And how long does it take to feel like you get back in that groove? Do you feel like sometimes you actually can't find where you were at, or is it just one of those things that, this is what we got and what we have to deal with?
I think it's a little bit more of like what you said, what we have to deal with. You just got to go and move on and understand that everybody's in the same predicament with this kind of time off. But we'll have 2-a-day practices when we get back, and we'll do those for 2 or 3 days, maybe 4, as much as 4 days, and then try to get back into the groove. And I feel like it takes a game or two to get back where we're at. But at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do about it. So we just take what we can get and move on.
Probably takes everybody else a game or two. That's how you have to look at it, I would guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike Helmer, our guest, Butler Grizzlies women's basketball coach. So your roster, it's a small roster. You don't have a ton of depth, not a ton of players. Your depth is pretty good, actually, but it's sophomore laden. I think all but 2 of your players are sophomores. It's almost like this team was designed to have this kind of a special season.
Yeah, we felt like coming into the year with having this much returning players and that we could make this kind of run. Did we anticipate being undefeated or number 3 in the nation? We never even talked about it. It's a great thing during the season, Bob, but man, it's when you start thinking about recruiting for next year, it makes it nerve-wracking. But practices and games, it makes it nice.
Well, why don't you give us a little rundown of some of the players who stood up for you this year, and what are you expecting the rest of the way?
Well, the first player that would stand out that everybody talks about is Freddie Wallace, 6'2", sophomore from Lincoln, Nebraska. She's been our leading scorer, and she's the one that's getting the most attention as far as recruiting goes. She was All-American for us last year, and now again is back and having a great sophomore year, doing some really good things. And then the rest of them are just really, really good players. And we have a Wichita kid in Tiana Wynn. She transferred from Seward, one of the nation's best in field goal percent, and does a great job rebounding and all those things. And then Macy James out of Goddard. I know everybody in the area is familiar with her. This kid just has a motor that doesn't stop. I mean, she's rare right now in understanding how to play hard and how to get after it. And I'm convinced some of those kids are few and far between nowadays. And Macy is one that just gets it done. And but we have a nice group of starters. We've had the same starters every day. A kid, down at Colvin out of Georgia, and Randy Harding out of Oklahoma, and then the rest of our kids are all from Kansas. And so, those are things we've taken a lot of pride in. We only have 11 players. We lost one right before the year started. I normally only bring in 12. And the reason we do that is we have men's practice players. We actually stole that from Wichita State a number of years ago, and it helps with the budget, helps with, travel, all those things. Instead of having 16, 17 kids on the roster, we cut it down to 12. So, and then as far as expectations, like you said, we just going to take it game by game. And, obviously we got a huge one when we come back playing Hutch, who's also undefeated. And I think, don't quote me, they're maybe ranked 7th or 9th or somewhere in there. And so that'll be a big one. We just got to take it game by game and just keep going and see where this thing takes us.
And that's at the power plant, right?
That is at the power plant, yes, on January 3rd. It'll be a great game. Coach Anchez at Hutch is one of the best coaches I've ever been around in my life. His teams will be ready to go. They got a lot of talent, so we're excited about it.
So, and we're talking Butler women's basketball with their coach, Mike Helmer. You mentioned Freddie Wallace, who's averaging close to 20 points per game, All-American season last year, certainly the mainstay of your team. How'd you come about her? How'd you get her to come to El Dorado?
Well, we I don't know, Gayla Soyez she has an AAU program here in Wichita, does a great job, and she reached out to us. We originally talked to her about Macy James because Macy was on that team, and Freddie was on her team as well. And now how Freddie ended up from Lincoln down to Wichita, I'm not sure, but she got hooked up on that team, and obviously with it being local, we could see her play a lot. We followed that team 2 summers ago everywhere they went, all over the country. And Gayla and her daughter, Sam Soyez, do a great job, as far as developing kids, and we've had a lot of luck there. And so we just followed them and started recruiting both of them. We're fortunate enough to get both.
I'm just curious on how's the league? How's the talent? How's everything? Sorry, I'm just curious. How's the league? How's the talent? How do you feel that is this year compared to years past?
That's a great question. To be honest, guys, I think the league is as tough as it's ever been in my 16 years. You got us, Hutch, and Dodge all ranked at one point, and then Coffeyville's ranked. At one point, Garden City and Barton have both been ranked. The league is loaded. You look. Most of the teams did really, really well in the preseason. Playing the 6 non-conference games that we get, and really the only losses anybody's had in league. But I think from top to bottom, it's the best it's been since I've been in the league in the 16 years. Maybe not, the high end. Maybe, Hutch had some teams a few years back that were as good as anything I've ever seen. And we had a year in the 2013 year, we had a team that went 34-3. I don't know if anybody's at those levels right now, but I know they're close. And but as far as the depth goes, it's really, really good. And great coaches in this league, great players. So it's been an exciting year for our league so far.
Mike Helmer, head coach of the 3rd-ranked Butler Grizzlies women's basketball team. They're at home to face Hutchinson, also unbeaten, on the 3rd of January. So I go way back with your dad. You grew up with a father who I think it's correct to say was obsessed with basketball. I imagine that obsession passed down to you. How did that all happen?
Yeah, it did. I mean, basically every male in my family has been a coach one time or another. But, yeah, my dad was Bert Helmer was a longtime coach in the City League. He coached at South and then, of course, as an assistant under Heimbaugh, and then years at Southeast coaching football and basketball. And then my uncle, Max Ferguson, was a longtime assistant coach at Medicine Lodge and won a state championship out there with Coach Dom was the head coach. And so, it's kind of just the way I grew up. I mean, in a gym, and Christmas break and Thanksgiving break growing up was more drawing plays on Christmas napkins than it was anything else. And, my memories of Thanksgiving were, we'd sit down and eat at Thanksgiving and then everybody would go to the gym. And I kind of grew up around this my whole life. No matter kind of what side of the family I went to, it was sports, whether it was basketball or football. And, and then my dad's connections over the years being with people, as one of your good friends, Chris Davis, he helped me along the way.
Well, let's not call him one of my good friends, please.
Okay.
I got a reputation to uphold.
Oh.
We got to be careful with who we put Chris with. Yeah. But no, he helped me, and people along the ways just have always been around to help, and coaches are great about doing that. And this is literally basically all I know, and it's something that I enjoy doing. It's getting more difficult with a change of times, but it's something I've enjoyed, and this is what we've done. And my family, my grandfather was one of the winningest coaches in junior high history in the state of Kansas at Peabody. And it's just been a history of basketball in the family, that's for sure.
Well, some of my earliest memories of my job at the Wichita Eagle were with Bill Heimbaugh and your dad Bert and the special teams that they had at South High. So lots of good memories. You're living it still. You're doing a great job. Mike, we appreciate it. Best of luck the rest of the way, and we know there'll be a huge crowd coming up on the 3rd when undefeated Butler faces undefeated Hutchinson at the power plant in El Dorado. Thank you again.
Bob, I appreciate you having me on. I always enjoy talking to you, and thank you again.
All right, there's Mike Helmer as we catch up with a very good women's junior college team in the area. We got another hour to go. Brett Bascu will join us for 5 questions.
Oh, good.
College football official and Derby native who played some baseball as well at Wichita State. So he's our guest for 5 questions. We've also got Joanna Chadwick coming up at 3:25. When we return, Jason Duda and I will just banter. We'll just talk.
That we will.
And we'll figure it out, right? That's what we do.
Absolutely.
So come back. Join us after this.